In a shocking turn of events, the British countryside, long a bastion of tradition, heritage, and agrarian pride, stands on the precipice of annihilation. Under the iron fist of the Labour government, radical new proposals threaten to wrench farmland from the hands of struggling farmers, forcing them to sell at pitifully undervalued rates. Ostensibly designed to pave the way for housing, hospitals, and schools, these measures, buried within the government's audacious planning and infrastructure bill, grant local councils unprecedented authority to seize land through compulsory purchase orders. But beneath this veneer of progress lies a chilling question. Is this a mere policy shift, or a calculated assault orchestrated by Deputy Prime Minister Rayner to manipulate land prices, appease corporate titans, and secure a voting bloc of newly arrived immigrants? The stakes could not be higher, and the truth demands to be uncovered. Before we plunge deeper into this unfolding scandal, I implore you, yes, you, to join the fight for clarity and justice. If this exposé ignites even a spark of outrage or curiosity within you, leave a comment below with your thoughts. Are Britain's farmers being betrayed? And if you refuse to let these revelations fade into the shadows, subscribe to this channel now. Every subscription fuels our mission to unveil the machinations threatening our nation's heartland. Don't merely witness history, help us shape it. Hit that subscribe button, and together, we'll demand answers from those who seek to silence rural Britain. Now, let us peel back the layers of this disturbing saga. The Labour government's latest gambit would compel local authorities to acquire land at its current market value, disregarding its vastly greater worth if developed. This seismic shift stands to rob farmers of millions, stripping them of their livelihoods and legacies. Yet, who stands poised to reap the windfall? Whispers abound that these sweeping reforms mask a sinister agenda to flood rural Britain with high-density housing, tailored not for the sons and daughters of Albion, but for waves of newcomers whose votes Labour covets in its relentless pursuit of power. The evidence mounts, and the implications are nothing short of catastrophic. Britain's farmers, those steadfast guardians of the countryside, are no strangers to adversity. Yet, the Labour government seems determined to tighten the noose around their necks. Last year's budget delivered a devastating blow, extending inheritance tax to agricultural properties, a move that has already pushed countless family farms to the brink of ruin. Thousands of rural stewards now face an agonizing choice: sell their ancestral lands to cover crippling tax burdens or watch their heritage crumble into dust. And now, this latest assault, a proposal that Tim Borner, chief executive of the Countryside Alliance, has decried as an intolerable burden on an already beleaguered community. Borner's words, delivered with grave urgency to the Telegraph, ring like a clarion call. We have backed many of the government's planning reforms, but granting councils the power to devalue land is a step too far, especially given the dire straits farmers face with inheritance tax changes. His critique lays bare a harrowing possibility. Could this be the opening salvo in a broader scheme to financially strangle Britain's agrarian class, forcing them out to make way for Labour's urban sprawl? The numbers paint a grim picture. Under Chancellor Rachel Reeves' revised inheritance tax policy, farms valued at £1 million or more will be slapped with a 20% levy. The Treasury, in a feeble attempt at reassurance, claims that only farms worth £3 million or more, roughly 28% of family operations, will feel the sting after allowances. But data from the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, tells a far darker tale. Up to 66% of farms could be ensnared, exposing a potential deception of staggering proportions. Are Britain's farmers being deliberately misled, their lands devalued to line the pockets of corporate overlords aligned with Labour's ambitions? The Planning and Infrastructure Bill, cloaked as a vehicle for progress, includes sweeping reforms, streamlined planning approvals, relaxed environmental mandates, and energy bill discounts for communities near new electricity pylons. On the surface, these measures promise a building boom to deliver 1.5 million homes and 150 major infrastructure projects before the next election. But where will these homes rise? And who will inhabit them? Is this a noble effort to house British citizens, or a Machiavellian ploy to reshape the electoral landscape? At the helm of this radical overhaul stands Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary Rayner, a figure whose zeal for growth has ignited both fervour and fear. She proclaims her intent to spark the biggest building boom in a generation, slashing bureaucratic red tape that has long stymied development. Yet, in her relentless charge toward this utopian vision, is she trampling the very foundations of Britain's rural heritage? The evidence suggests a troubling pattern. Alongside these reforms, Labour has unveiled a nature restoration fund, allowing developers to funnel cash into vague, large-scale environmental projects rather than addressing site-specific ecological concerns. The government touts this as a cost-saving innovation, sidestepping debacles like the £100 million HS2 Bat tunnel. But is this truly about safeguarding nature, or a cunning distraction from their true motives? The Ministry for Housing, Communities and Local Government has been pressed for answers, but will they confront the real questions, or dodge them with practiced evasiveness? Labour's push to eliminate consultation requirements in the planning process further stokes suspicion. By reducing the number of organisations, such as Sport England, the Theatres Trust, and the Garden History Society, that must be consulted on building proposals, the government claims it will accelerate construction timelines. Efficiency, they argue, is paramount. Yet, this move reeks of a power grab, silencing voices that might dare to challenge unchecked development. Is this about streamlining progress, or ensuring that only politically connected developers thrive? Rayner defends her agenda with steely resolve. We have placed growth at the core of our policies, with our plan for change setting a milestone to deliver 1.5 million homes and unlock Britain's construction potential. But at what cost? The hard-working farmers who have tilled this land for generations, or the future voters Labour hopes to ensnare? The government insists that new developments will meet high standard to serve community needs, yet the narrowing of consultation to focus solely on heritage, safety, and environmental protection raises a haunting question. Why are broader community voices being erased from the equation? Perhaps the most audacious thrust of Labour's agenda lies in its assault on the Green Belt, those sacred swathes of countryside long protected from urban encroachment. Under Rayner's command, safeguards for villages are set to be dismantled, paving the way for sprawling housing estates. Historic designations that once shielded rural settlements from unchecked expansion will be stripped away, reclassifying villages as mere stepping stones for development. The Conservative Party has roared in opposition, accusing Rayner of waging a war on the countryside that could obliterate Britain's rural communities. Shadow Housing Secretary Kevin Hollinrake has sounded the alarm, condemning these changes as an aggressive step enacted without public consultation or parliamentary debate. The new guidelines redraw the boundaries of Green Belt protections, severing villages from their historic alignment with towns as large built-up areas. Labour's creation of a grey belt classification, encompassing derelict sites like abandoned car parks, further signals their intent to pry open rural land for construction. Conservative analysis reveals that 133 local councils across England are now mandated to review all Green Belt land, a process likely to reclassify vast tracts as grey belt and fling them into the jaws of developers. Is this the dawn of uncontrolled sprawl, cloaked as progress? Rayner's reforms don't stop there. Local councillors' ability to block housing developments will be curtailed, with new rules preventing planning committees from intervening unless projects exceed a yet-to-be-finalised threshold, potentially between 10 and 100 homes. For villages, this could mean a slow, relentless creep of construction, eroding their character without residents' consent. The Housing Department's revised planning guidelines instruct local authorities to reinterpret the 5 key criteria governing Greenbelt status, emphasizing that these protections were meant to halt the merging of towns, not villages. The distinction is subtle but seismic, threatening to unleash a tidal wave of development across rural Britain. As Labour barrels forward, the evidence mounts like storm clouds on the horizon. Are we witnessing the deliberate financial strangulation of Britain's farmers, a calculated devaluation of rural land to clear the way for corporate profiteers and electoral manipulation? The Countryside Alliance's Tim Borner warns of a breaking point, while DEFRA's data hints at a far wider impact than the Treasury admits. Angela Rayner's vision of growth looms large, but its shadow falls heaviest on those who have preserved Britain's pastoral soul for generations. The people deserve answers, not platitudes. Is this about housing a nation, or rigging the future political landscape in Labour's favour? The removal of consultation safeguards, the reclassification of Greenbelt land, and the relentless push for 1.5 million homes all point to a singular, chilling conclusion. Britain's countryside is under siege, and its defenders are being systematically disarmed. Will Labour halt this juggernaut, or is this merely the prelude to a grander rural land grab? The clock is ticking, and the fate of a nation hangs in the balance.